It was hard for me in the beginning because as a father it was so hard for me. I always thought about Sam, how he can do a part like this. Wow, it's really hard.
I don't know what's going to happen tomorrow. I'm still trying to figure out what happened yesterday. So I certainly can't make decisions on 2 years or 3 years from now. But God knows our ending from our beginning.
Oh man, I'm just looking around. We got Tim McGraw, Faith Hill. It's so cool. You know, so many great people on this record. It really is a fantastic soundtrack, and we're just lucky to be here. It's an honor to be here.
For me, the thing that struck me about the movie was it deals with this incredible hurt and loss and grief. And most people, when they experience that, retreat into themselves. You know, they become isolated. But this is a story about how God reaches out into our hurt, and it's a story of hope. And so the movie starts bleak, but by the end, you're so full of hope, so full of positivity that the future can be different than the past. And I really wanted to be a part of that.
It's a beautiful story about men being vulnerable and being able to deal with pain and work through it, and it's something we're not allowed to do. And this story is about allowing ourselves to do that. And I was sitting at a coffee shop a block away from my house reading the script, and I just started bawling, and I needed to do it. I needed to be a part of that story. I think men deserve to be celebrated for their vulnerability. And we need to be allowed to live through that in order to get to the other side of our trauma. I think they're going to walk away with a better understanding of what men need in order to be able to walk through dealing with their pain. We need to be able to forgive people in order to drop the walls. We need to be able to go back through our past and figure out why we build the shacks around our trauma and bust those down. This movie's about peace, it's about forgiveness, and it's about vulnerability.
They should expect tears and a lot of smiles too, and so I really hope that they go into it with a certain expectation and come out of it with a different one. And so I just hope that everybody gets an experience that they'll say, oh, go see this movie.
I love the book. I love the message of the book. I think it's a very hopeful message, and who doesn't want to be a part of something that puts hope into the world? I think it's about trials. It's about how we handle those trials, how we get through them, and faith is very important. And I think the elements were interwoven very beautifully.
Well, most of my scenes were with Sam Worthington, and that was actually fun because we worked together previously, and we're both Australian. There's a lot to unpack in this movie. It really makes you think about how you think, basically. It shifts your perspective on things.
I mean, I think the book is amazing. I think it's one of the greatest books of all time. I couldn't say enough about it. The line, "Keep your eyes on me," came from the film. And the idea that if you're staring at the water, you know, they're in the canoe at that point, and the canoe is tipping, and he's looking at the water as opposed to looking at God. And, you know, when he says, "Keep your eyes on me," and it's going to be okay. And so that is how I try to live my life. You know, I don't always succeed, but in writing songs like this or telling these stories, that's what we try to do, is just remind ourselves, you know.
He has an amazing encounter there, a sort of a mystical encounter with someone who claims to be God, which is Octavia Spencer, and her two friends, of which one is here. And his life is transformed, so it ultimately becomes a real inspirational, hopeful movie about how to move on from grief and how to recover and find joy in life, even though you've been through some dark times.
I get to play the Holy Spirit, which is pretty awesome. It's the first time it's being portrayed on film, so it's a little scary, and I'm sure I'm going to get some good reviews and bad reviews, but I hope that I was able to come, you know, to set every day with grace and peace, and just portraying the Holy Spirit and really, and I hope that everybody gets the message of the film, and it's about love and forgiveness. In the film, the Holy Spirit is supposed to teach Mack about forgiveness and trust, and I think that she is like Mother Nature in a sense as well, and she's always by her side. I think the Holy Spirit is always by her side. So I think that I was trying to portray that and be a very human form of this Holy Spirit, and to be by Mack's side all the time. Yeah.
Anytime you can be involved in a great piece of art, you want to be involved in. Sam was intense. Of course I knew who Sam was and I knew his acting, but to be in a scene with him and be eye to eye with him and something that's the story and the pain that's involved in this story at the beginning that nobody wants to think about, nobody wants to ever be involved with, and to see how he was capturing that character and capturing that emotion and capturing that mood and not wanting to let him down when you're in the scenes with him. It was very moving and very important. He put me in a place to be able to do the things that I needed to do for this part. All of us, Shane McAnally, Lori McKenna, Faith and I, who were sitting down watching us to write a song for it, we all got back with our notebooks and we all had the same line. Very first same line was "Keep your eyes on me." And we wanted to write a song that followed the arc of the movie, that had the pain at the beginning and the redemption at the end. And I tell you, we worked on it, we worked in the studio on it. Faith did her part, I did my part, and we worked on the mixing and everything. And when we were mixing the song and working with Faith's vocal, and she did that just angelic thing at the end of the song, it was a goosebump moment for me. It was a goosebump moment for me just sitting there listening to it at the board, working on it. And it was just pretty amazing.
It's like going into an ocean for the first time, getting caught by a wave. What does it feel like? Out of control, magnificent. You just kind of hold your head up and just hang on. The story is pretty simple. I was a guy that was trying to write a present for my kids for Christmas, Amy being one of them. And so it was written mostly on a train to one of my 3 jobs, and got it done for Christmas, made my 15 copies at Office Depot. And those 15 copies did everything I ever wanted this book to do.